evening, everyone. Welcome to Baton Rouge and the post-game press conference here for the Baton Rouge Regional. We are joined by Ohio State. Winners tonight, 79-64 over LSU. They advanced to the round of Sweet 16 in Spokane, Washington, where they will face number 2 Texas on March 25th at a time to be determined. We are joined by head coach Kevin McGuff, junior guard J.C. Sheldon, 23 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds, and 3 steals in tonight's game, and senior guard Taylor Mikesell on the far end, 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. If you have a question for the media here in person, please raise your hand. We will bring a microphone to you. As always, we request if you have a question for both players, please designate one to start for the answers for you so it helps with the people who are doing the transcriptions. We also have some people attending online. If you're online via Zoom, have a question, please raise your hand. In lieu of an opening comment for Coach McGuff, he said he'd like to go ahead and just start with questions for the players. So questions first for either J.C. Sheldon or Taylor Mikesell.
We'll start with J.C., I guess. Just how important do you think that first quarter and that fast start for you all kind of setting the tone was for the remainder of the game?
Yeah, that's something we talked about and kind of focused on coming out strong, and we did. And you know, sustaining that throughout the whole game was something we talked about too. So I'm proud of how we came out and proud of how we finished too.
For either of the players, how much did it feel like the whole world was against you on that court? And what was it like for you to kind of respond to that with so much force on both ends of the floor and kind of put them in the biggest deficit they've been in all season and sustain it from there?
Definitely, kind of like JC said, our biggest goal was trying to, withstand their runs. You know, we knew they were going to have runs, and we've been in environments like this before, but I think this, I can speak for both of us, is probably the loudest one we've been in all year. And just being competitors, I think this is exciting. This is the best time of year. And I think that every single one of my teammates, from the bench to the court, did a great job staying composed, even when they were going on runs. So I think just withstanding their runs was the biggest thing for us, trying to manage the crowd.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, you know, we knew we were going to go on some runs, and we knew they were too. And then obviously, you know, they got a great fan base, so put all that out there. And, you know, staying together, I think, was the main thing for us. And like she said, every single person contributed there, and it was fun. It was a fun environment.
JC, you had Cherry on you for most of the night. What'd you do to kind of overcome her aggressive D?
She's a great defender. She's a great player. You know, she throughout the whole game too, she was right there. And I think we moved the ball, we passed it around, made some good shots, made some open plays, but I wouldn't say she was there all game. She didn't go away, and like I said, she played a great game.
JC, in the second half, when they were kind of making their run, they couldn't get a stop, so it became a little bit of a track meet. You guys were able to get back and forth, you know. Does that become fun for you guys? Both of you are obviously scorers, and, you know, you kind of get to do what you want in that situation. Yeah,
I think when they started pressing there, it gave us a little bit of trouble, but I think, like I said, we stayed together there at the end, and going back to that environment, you know, it's tough to play in, but it's also the most fun to play in, you know, especially for competitors. It's what you look forward to, and I think everything involved, it was a lot of fun.
We have a few questions online via Zoom. Let's go first to Thomas Costello. Thomas, if you'll unmute on your end and let us know which player you are addressing your question to, and go ahead and ask your question.
This is a question for JC and Taylor. First, before the tip-off, it looked like Ricky Harris was ready to go. She was rubbing her hands together. She was talking to Kayla Pointer before the tip-off. First, do you know what she said? And then second, what was the kind of hunger from the team going into this game? JC first.
Yeah, Ricky's an awesome teammate and great player, even better person. So she's always ready to go. You can always count on her to, you know, pick everybody up. And like I said, she's a competitor. She loves it. She loved this environment too. And I think, you know, I don't remember exactly what she said, but her message was just we got to be ready to go and we got to come out quick. And I think it worked because we did. So.
Yeah, I guess to kind of touch on what JC said, Ricky's one of those people you love to play with and hate to play against. She's going to be guarding the best player the whole entire game. She's going to give everything she has, whether she's scoring or not. And, you know, she was one of the biggest people in our huddles, one of the loudest voices, even when, you know, she might have been in foul trouble or she went down with an injury. So you love to play with Ricky. And she was ready to go from the start, and I think she helped us all be ready to go.
Jacob Myers via Zoom. Jacob, if you will unmute on your end and address the question for which player here for Ohio State, and go ahead with your question.
Questions for JC, then I have a second for Taylor. JC, as a local kid first Sweet 16 for Ohio State since 2017. To do it in that type of environment too, what does it kind of mean to you to kind of lead the team to this moment?
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm super proud of our whole team. We stayed together, and like you said, that's a tough environment to play in. So we stayed together, we relied on each other, and I'm just super proud, and it's awesome. But we're not done yet. We got a tough opponent coming up, so we got to start focusing on them.
Second question, Jacob.
Yeah, it's Taylor. We've seen JC have performances throughout the year like she had tonight. But it's one thing to do it in the NCAA tournament. What's just kind of your impression of how she has played these past two games, kind of leading you to this point?
I think not shocked at all. I mean, JC's a competitor. She's been doing it all year long, and she's ready for this moment. I think we both looked at each other when we came to watch this game after our Missouri State win, and we're like, we can't wait to play in this environment. And, you know, I looked at her, I knew she was going to be ready. She's been ready all year, and I think, like she said, the job's not done yet.
Randall Gim, via Zoom, your question for either one of the players. Address the player and go ahead with your question.
This question is for either of the ladies. This is Randall Gim from Nuts and Bolts Sports. Thanks for taking the question. You touched on this a little bit earlier, JC. I saw you break their press a couple of times individually, and you were also able to get some passes up ahead for some wide open layups after their press. What was the key to breaking that press, and what do you feel you can take from that moving forward?
Yeah, I think I didn't do a very good job of that, to be honest. I got to be better there. But I think, settling down was our main thing. I think they got us sped up a little bit, and we kind of got a little flustered. But I think once we settled down and kind of played at the pace we wanted to, it helped us a ton.
We have two more questions for the players via Zoom. Michelle Vopel, stand by. Lindsay Schnell. Lindsay, if you will unmute on your end and address your question to one of the Ohio State players, please.
Hey, ladies. Lindsay Schnell from USA Today. Congrats on the win. Taylor, this question is for you because I believe that at your previous stops in your career, you were part of teams that hosted during the first round of the NCAA tournament, correct?
Yes, the first, my freshman year at Maryland we did. Last year was in the bubble, so
right.
Technically no.
Okay, so you guys are the third team to upset a host school on their floor. Yesterday, obviously, we had Creighton in South Dakota. And then today, Princeton took Indiana to the wire, and the same with Belmont at Tennessee. Do you think that home court advantage is not what it used to be in this tournament? And as a player, do you want us to play on all neutral floors for the first couple rounds?
I think that could go both ways, but I think the mentality that we had coming in was that underdog mentality. And, at the end of the day, everybody has to play the same game, the same 40 minutes. So, I mean, the number by your school doesn't really matter. It's how you show up and play those 40 minutes.
Final question for the players on Michelle Vopel via Zoom. Michelle, if you will unmute on your end and address the player with your question, please.
Yeah, thank you. This is for JC. I wonder, JC, if you could talk just about yourself personally and the team of not playing, obviously no tournament in 2020, and then you guys didn't play last year. I mean, how did you sort of keep your spirits up through all that and doing that, then, like you said, make it all the way to the Sweet 16? Can you talk about what that's like for you personally and for the team?
Yeah, I think, not being able to play in the tournament, I think we could have taken that one of two ways, and we definitely took the high route. I think, if anything, it motivated us. I think we all got better during that time and, focused on our game and what we need to improve on. So I'm proud, and it's showing. A lot of us have worked really hard at this, so I'm really proud of everybody and how they played today. And like T. Mike said earlier, every single person contributed, and that's what led us to win this game today.
JC and Taylor, congratulations again. Thank you very much for your time. If you all would like to go back to the locker room, you're free to go.
Thank you.
We appreciate everything. Now turn our attention and address questions to head coach Kevin McGuff. We have about 7 to 7.5 minutes if we need that time for Coach McGuff. So we'll go back to the media here in person. Raise your hand for the microphone and your questions for the head coach.
Kevin, I was going to ask the girls, but I was just curious if you felt like the practice yesterday helped in any way, or was that just competitors playing?
First of all, I want to thank the staff here, the NCAA staff, the LSU staff put on a great tournament. It was well organized. We felt really welcome the whole weekend, and so just kudos to everybody that worked so hard to make this happen, and to the Baton Rouge community. I mean, what a great environment tonight! My gosh, That was really fun to play in. Tough because it was so loud, and we had to make some adjustments how we were calling plays and some things because the crowd was so loud and so into it. And I can only imagine as Kim continues to build this program what this place is going to be like. So really an amazing environment. Kudos to everybody here who worked so hard to make it happen, and just happy for Kim and excited to see just what a monster of a program she's going to have here in the coming years. And then to your point, we had to practice versus loud crowd and stuff like that because we knew we wouldn't be able to hear in the first half, especially when our team was on the other end. I think it helped a little bit because what it did basically is make us get hand signals and calls for our plays that I think helped us stay a little bit organized.
Coach, I haven't watched you play against Missouri State. Is this your pattern? What defense? You've very much frustrated them. You very much frustrated LSU tonight. They were just missing shots badly. They weren't getting into the flow of their offense at all.
I thought we had a good mixture of our press and our half-court defense tonight. And that's probably the area where we've grown the most as a team this year. If you look at where we started in November and where we are now, we've made significant progress and really emphasized that. And that's a credit to our kids to staying committed to that progress because we weren't going to make it to this point if we didn't get better in that area.
Coach, were you guys fine with, and was your plan kind of let Pointer get hers or did that just happen?
No, but we didn't have much of an answer. I mean, she's such a great player, and when she got going in the second half, and we were trying kind of different coverages, but none of them seemed to be successful. And credit to her, she's a great player, and we had all kinds of problem with her coming down the stretch.
What do you attribute most? And I don't know if it's just the way JC ran the offense, but it seemed like even though LSU knew they had to guard the perimeter, you got a lot of good looks. You went 10 of 22. So you actually shot above, right? You may have had more makes than usual in a game like this. What do you attribute to that?
Well, we had shot the ball extremely well most of the year. And in the last couple games, even before we showed up here and played Missouri State, we hadn't shot it quite as well. And JC in particular, as great as she's been down the stretch, and she's been fantastic, she just hadn't shot it her normal self. But, man, she made a couple huge threes tonight. And I think the other thing is that we were able to really get out in transition and get some open looks. And I thought that was a big key for us that we, for 40 minutes, we really ran the floor aggressively and were able to generate some quality shots.
Coach, we have 3 or 4 questions for you via Zoom. Let's start with Thomas Costello. Thomas, if you'll unmute on your end, and your question for Coach McGuff.
Congrats on the win, Coach. Game plan, it looked like going into tonight was being strong in the paint against LSU's size. What did you see coming into the game that made you think it was going to be effective, or was this just a standout performance by the group of forwards you have?
No, I told him about 5 times yesterday, told him shoot around today, told him before the game, if we were going to win the game, we were going to have to fight like, excuse my French, fight like hell on every possession when the shot went up to get the ball back. And we did. We didn't get it back every single time, but we fought on every possession, and that's where I would tell you I'm most proud of our effort tonight is just we knew we were going to have to compete with them on the boards. They're big, they're physical, they're aggressive. They're one of the best rebounding teams in the country, and that was where we were going to put ourselves in position to win, and we did. We really fought. I'm really proud of our effort in that area.
Jacob Myers, once again, if you'll unmute on your end and ask Coach McGuff your question, please.
Hey, Kevin, 2 things for you. The 3 by Taylor at the end of the first quarter really seemed to ignite your offense. You guys made 5 threes in that second quarter, then went off in the third. I guess just how big was that to get you guys going? And then the second thing is, I know she doesn't get the quantity of shots up that Kelsey Mitchell did, but the performance that JC Sheldon had tonight, is that kind of up there with some of the elite performances you've seen in your time here at Ohio State?
Yeah, regarding the first question, Taylor had that 3 at the end of the first quarter I thought was really big, just to really help us feel good about the momentum we built in the first quarter. And then she also had some very timely shots in the second half as well. And then JC, I mean, that is against LSU in this environment, and then they start pressing, and it wasn't like she was perfect, but you never saw her at any point where she wasn't poised. And I think that was the key for our ability to finish out the game was JC's poise, keeping us organized, running the team, finishing shots around the basket when we needed them down the stretch. And so just her poise and competitive character, I think, was the key for us, our ability to finish out the game.
Coach, thanks for your time. We have 2 more questions for you. Lindsay Schnell. Lindsay, if you'll unmute on your end, your question for Coach McGuff.
Hey, Kevin, congrats on the win.
Thank you.
I wondered, you guys tipped off, Belmont was still playing. When did you find out the final score? And I don't know if you've looked at your phone yet, but have you talked to your daughter? Obviously, like, great day for your family, but also heartbreaking for her.
Yeah, I haven't talked to her yet, but amazingly, we came out at halftime, and before the second half started, the Tennessee Belmont game was on the big screen. So I'm sitting there waiting for the second half to start and watching them close out the game, and she was in the game at the very end. So I'm watching her and then just trying to get focused for the game. So a very surreal moment for me and for our family, but I'm really proud of her and the season that she had with Belmont and their fight tonight. And obviously would have been amazing if they won as well, but overall just an incredible weekend for our family.
Final question for Coach from Randall Gim. Randall, if you will unmute on your end, and your question for Coach McGuff.
Thanks for taking the last question, Coach, and congratulations. LSU only took 8 total three-point shots. We know them not to shoot a lot of threes, but does that make them easier to guard? And if it doesn't, why?
Well, we certainly, were aware of that, and we were going to try to make them. Of course, our plan was to make them score from the three-point line in the first possession of the game. They nailed a 3, and I was looking like the dumbest coach in America. But fortunately, over the course of 40 minutes, it kind of, played to our favor. But even when you're trying to stop them from getting in the paint and all that, it's tough because they're so quick and athletic off the dribble and so skilled. And I thought for the most part we did a good job. But boy, at the end we just broke down and they were just blowing by us and getting to the paint. And that was a little disappointing. But overall, I thought we had the right game plan and our kids executed really well.
Coach, thanks for your time all week long.
Thank
Congratulations
you.
and good luck in the round of Sweet 16.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll be back shortly here in Baton Rouge with LSU for their post-game press conference. Until then, again, if you need a copy of this press conference, it'll be available in the NCAA Digital Media Hub. That's ncaa.veritone.com. Transcripts will be provided shortly by ASAP. We'll be back shortly with LSU and their press conference. Until then, thank you for joining us here in Baton Rouge.